Welcome to how to do match edits and basic editing with Final Cut Pro, really. If you don't have it, well, whoopsie daisy. If you don't have it already, you want to come up here to the top right and make sure you have the, let's hover over it, the inspector open. Timeline, inspector, and browser. I call it the library sometimes, but I guess the new way to call it is the browser. Now, obviously, your timeline is where everything happens. You can see the last project. It defaults back to the last project which we did, which was Final Cut Pro Basics. Yeah, it's online. So if you want to watch that previous video, you can go on to actually the Crepe Lady project. It should be embedded there, I believe. And let's call this Crepe. So I have my library all set up. I have my project now all set up. And you can see those are different than the video tutorials, video program of service, or program of studies, and then the other Sovereign Zach library. Because I need to keep myself organized. If I have everything all together, it's going to get very messy. One thing I'm missing from my browser is the waveforms. I come up here, turn on those waveforms, and I can now see the audio. Alright, so I'm going to start editing. And since I'm a veteran in terms of like doing video stuff, I know, because I did see quite a few people starting on something like the close-up or the medium close-up or even the cutaway. That's kind of weird. And I say it's kind of weird because you want to start off with a long shot to establish where you are, what you're doing. So I can do that by going to one of the long shots. I personally prefer long shot number 2. But if I started right here, where she's putting the crepe onto the roller, that's actually gonna be towards the end of what we're doing. So I'm just gonna watch, and let's see. She's reaching in for the bowl. I'm gonna hit I, and you'll see over here when I hit I, it's the in point. I can see right there she's starting to spin. I hit O. So in and out. And the highlighted part's the only part that's going to go down into the timeline when I hit E. Yep, I could hit E, I could hit W, I could hit Q, but I'll go with E. Boop. There we go. And I want to zoom in here, so I'm going to hit Command plus on the keyboard. If you're using a Windows keyboard, it's going to be Control. That's still going to be Command. Only it's going to be the Windows symbol. Command plus, Command minus. Zoom in, zoom out. And I've got what I want. I click on the block of video. It's 1 second, 18 frames, so I'm under 4 seconds. Now I'm going to go find the next shot. Okay, where she is spinning on the right crepe making thing. So what's going to be a good shot? All right, I like this one. Oh, and right at the beginning. So I'll do this one a little bit differently. I'll highlight it, and instead of using the in and out points, I will do my best to grab it where it needs to be. Meaning, like, I'm just literally using the mouse to select the parts that I want. Okay, I'm going to take this 2 seconds and 14 frames and then drag and drop it down. Let's see if it works. I'm bringing the playhead back here. I'm hitting the space bar to play. A little bit of a judder. So what I'm going to do is grab this one, click, and you can see when you click, if you want to take away from cutaway 1, if I go right over here, you can see it's pointed, the film strip is pointed in the direction of what you're going to be taking away from or expanding. So like that little film strip, if I'm taking or adding more to cutaway 1, or from the long shot at first. It depends on which side I'm on. In this case, I know cutaway 1 is longer than that first one, so I'm going to take away from this, make it a little bit more, and I'm going to zoom back out on my computer. And I'm going to take away and match where she's at. So, not exactly the same. This happened at obviously different times, but very much the same in terms of what we're about to see here. You wouldn't know because it's going to be edited so well. And you can see I didn't go through, I could add it here, like her going through the ending process and moving to the next thing, but I wanted to leave a little bit more because we're going to need another long shot. And I'm going to actually come back to the same one I was at before. And she's moving this. All right. I'm going to hit I when her pot is midway in the air. I'm going to hit O. I'm going to hit E. Ooh, that's a long one. That's 2 seconds, 21 frames. And now the next thing I'm going to do is find a different shot other than that. So I had the cutaway there. Let's look for, let's go over the shoulder. She's moving the pan top from the left to the right. I'm going to hit I. She's reaching in. Again, what am I doing? That's a new word. What I'm doing here is I have to find a motion to move from one block to the next block. That's what I was talking about yesterday. You're telling a story. If I don't have a motion to go on, it's not going to continue the thread. It's just going to abruptly end. So I'm going to hit out here because I'm going to move on her arm movement here where she's getting out that knife to slice up the crepe and then hang it. And so I hit I and O. I'm going to now hit E. And I'm just going to come down here, click, spacebar. That movement matches. Now the knife. All right, in that one, she only ever takes it with the knife from the left one. I'm sorry, the right one. The wrong one for our purposes. So maybe here she, yeah, there we go. So let's see if this works. I and O I use to select, then I'm going to hit E. That's a tough one. That is a tough one. Calvin knows what's going on because he's not watching. And that's in perpetuity, too, because I'm recording this. Watch that flow, friends. Watch that flow. And I don't mean my hairstyle, as great as it may be. All right, so the movement, as I'm explaining it, the movement's going to follow here, this area. Matches there. Matches again back to here where we move and we change our focus from the crepe being made to the top of the pot being moved. Whoop. We follow that. Then we follow her hand. See that the movement matched on her hand. So it's like, where's Waldo? And if Waldo was moving and going between pages. Because you have to kind of think about, okay, what am I following? That may be the worst metaphor, simile, ever made. But it's just following the motion. And the motion doesn't remain as one particular thing. It changes. Like when we were watching The Mandalorian on Mandalorian Mondays, when the blacksmith's making his armor, when she hits the piece of metal, it goes from just the piece of metal to an explosion. But it matches because when you hit a piece of metal, it has sparks arise. In this one, it's just more based upon the physical movement. I've done this before when I used to work at WBZ. When I would do Patriots promotional stuff, you could take a running back, and as long as it's the same, I didn't use I used the NFL films footage, so it's like from a sideline, so it's like a side view of a person running forward, and you could change that person to another person, as long as they match kind of in the frame and their movement matches. So you can make those kind of changes as long as there's a reason behind it. I intentionally stopped this when she's picking up the crepe because I know that's going to be a good shot. This technically would be a continuity error because she's taking it from the wrong one, but the fact of the matter is I know what's going to tell the best story. It's Crepe Lady's face, and she's happy when she does this. And more importantly, we have the woman in the red/orange shirt there, and you'll see why that's important in a second. So I'm going to drag that. I use the in and out points. She's picking that up. Anyone notice a problem there? Yep, she puts it on there twice. So picks up the crepe, puts it on, puts it on. So I'm going to come back down here. I can just see visibly, zoom in a little bit. The long shot is longer than the medium close-up, so I'm going to go and take away some from this. So right there looks to match. And now here's where things are going to get interesting. A for arrow, B for blade, so I'm going to blade right here. Kadoom! I'm going to hit A for arrow to now select the portion which I've bladed. Because, as Ethan knows, and only Ethan as far as I know, I haven't seen anyone else do it, I can use crop and Ken Burns. Because I want to draw specific attention to something in this frame, and that is the lady over here. So we're going to go from having attention on the lady doing the crepes to this lady over here, because again, we're telling a story. Now set Ken Burns up. Again, that's under crop, and then you have 3 tools under crop. Trim is literally, will just leave darkness and blackness wherever you trim. Crop is like if you have an image that's too large or a video that's too large, you can crop in to zoom in. It works best if you have a really, really nice camera, but our cameras are okay. And if you try to zoom in too much, you'll just see a lot of pixelation because they're not fantastic. And then Ken Burns, which does exactly what we're doing right now. Named after the person who invented it. Okay. We see her. She's moving her arm. So then I'm going to hit I. I'm going to hit O. I'm going to hit E. and we can make the assumption based upon just the clothing that she's wearing that we followed the path, the correct path. So I have not followed the rules exactly, because obviously in the assignment you're supposed to use all of the clips. I have failed to use cutaway 3. I could go back and, well, you know what? Let's see. All right. Watch this. All right. I should say I'm using J, K, and L here. If I hit J, I can go backward. So I'm going to go backward, in point, out point before she goes off, and then E. But this is out of order, so I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to move cutaway 3 in between the two of them. And then I'm going to use the crop tool. So to use it, if I just came over here and tried to use the crop tool, nothing's showing up. That's because the playhead is at the end. It needs to, the playhead, this red thing, needs to be over the clip which you are going to be adjusting. So here we go with crop. Again, just going to kind of crop crepe. Whoops, grab the wrong bit. Grab there. And then if you are finding yourself in a position where it's difficult, I'm going to adjust the view to 70%. Now I can easily grab that end instead of grabbing the side. That will become more important when we do motion tracking. So like I know with a couple groups I had like a basketball flying across the screen, had Ella's name flying across the screen, things of that nature, which you can absolutely do, but you do need to set your view to not take up the full screen, because if you start with something off the screen, it's going to be off the screen. Anyway, just to crop, again, because I want the point of emphasis to be on this lady's shirt, because it's going to be the bridge to bring us to the natural ending. Oh, and I accidentally did this, and I hit V, which is enable/disable a clip. Now, that's not the case anymore. Boom, boom, boom. Rice crepes. That's 15 seconds. I have the unfair advantage of having worked on Crepe Lady for like 8 years. I know all the footage, so it's very easy for me, and not to mention all the experience I have in Final Cut Pro. My expectation is not that you're going to do it as smoothly and easily as I have here. That's totally unreasonable. However, just to kind of get an idea of what those match edits are, I think it's just important, especially after seeing everybody's. And it's not to say you guys aren't doing a good job, because you absolutely are. However, just to kind of get an idea of what a match edit really is. Movement. Match the movement. Match the movement. Moving. Match the hand movement. Sliced up. Put it down there, draw emphasis to the lady in the shirt. The lady in the shirt puts the rice crepe down. You may not know right off the bat, okay, this is what Mr. Bart did here. So like when I go to check out your videos, I might not know right off the bat what you're going for. But at least I can ask you what it is, and we all kind of have a common ground here of, okay, this is what you need to do in terms of following a thread. Because like yesterday when I was saying that, I can realize it's not really the most straightforward thing. Getting music. Unfortunately, because of the way Google is approaching student accounts and like, well, I guess it's not unfortunate because it's protection for children, but because your school accounts are student accounts, you would have to, and you're not able to get a YouTube account any longer. You'd have to use a different Google account, but if you typed in YouTube audio library, this is like incredibly efficient way of getting music, because literally it's just the download button there. Sound effects, same thing. Then Free Music Archive is pretty good. it's a little bit more difficult to find stuff, in my opinion, that you like. Like, what am I doing here? Where am I? Okay, this is what I want, I think. Modern chill out, of course. Oh, because that's like saying that I need to pay money for it. Whoops. No, I just want free stuff, man. Oh, that's good. Okay, genre. What? Soul and R&B. All right. Are you kidding me? First one was best. Oh, great. Download. I'm gonna download it to my desktop. Save. There it is. Back into Final Cut Pro. For purposes of this, I obviously had Final Cut Pro open all the way, but now I'm gonna drag and drop this right in here. Whoop, full screen. I'm now gonna also, look at this. My whole browser's filled up with that song, which is a Noyo. So if I come up here, I can say, not 30 seconds, not a half second. I'll just do all. Now there's the whole song right there. Won't take up everything. I'm gonna bring this back up, and you can see, if you ever see that, it's because your screen is going off. Like, you can't see your full screen, so you just fit, because it was at 77 because of when we did that cropping. Now I'm just gonna bring that song we had down here. I'm gonna hit B for blade, A for arrow, and another point. You can see that this audio is connected to this clip, which is nothing, but everything that's not in this primary storyline is going to be connected to something. And when I delete this, it's going to delete the green. So I don't have the green highlighted, but when I delete this, the green is gone because it's connected. So if you find stuff that's is getting lost or disappearing, it's probably because of something like that. I'm going to now highlight all of Crepe Lady's stuff, and I'm going to bring the audio, I guess, up, maybe, because I think that'll hide. Normally you wouldn't bring it up, but because we have music now, I think it's going to hide a lot of the hard cuts. What do I mean by that? That's actually not that bad. Mostly because I'm expecting, is Cambodian a language? Because I know this is in Cambodian. Whatever language they're speaking in, nobody in here speaks it. Hello, Belle. So, but if it were in English, we would hear the words kind of get chopped up there. So it actually sounds okay. In terms of just like, you don't have a sharp... so if I were in the middle of the sentence, you cut me off, that would sound very weird. Okay, now I want to bring this down. It's a little too overpowering. I want to fade out that ending. We all know what music sounds like. We're going to come up to projects. We're going to right click. We're going to duplicate the project, because guess what we're going to do? something fun. Light. So if I want to preview what it looks like, I just have something selected here, or sounds like if you are doing some audio stuff with it. Okay. I mean, this to me is just like, you got to do the highlights. It's going to be good. And I'm only going to, at this point, I'm only going to add it to one block of video, and you'll see why. I'm going to add some side lights here too. I could do some really weird stuff with it, kaleidoscoping, like perspective, visual echo. I mean, there's a really, because you can add effects, but then you can add effects upon effects, and then up here in the inspector you can adjust an effect. So it's gonna look okay with lights, but if you think about it, with something like that kaleidoscope, you could really make some weird stuff occur by adjusting like the intensity or how much. I'll just show you. Look, here we go. All right, kaleidoscope, obviously really strange, but I can make it less strange. Well, that's not really less strange. Oh, that's more strange. Okay, all right, like at least you can sort of see her. But then you can adjust like this. Then you can add, and you also have the ability to add in as many effects as you want. And you can also, using keyframes, which is what you would use to make something fly across the screen. So going to the beginning of the clip, I'm going to hit this, click here, that's adding keyframes. And then I'm going to come to later in this clip, and I'm going to adjust, and you'll see it automatically adds a keyframe right there. I didn't have to touch anything. I'm just saying later in the video, make it look like this. Like completely nuts. And then it will essentially animate. So see, it did that by itself. I added one anchor point, so to speak. It's called a keyframe at the beginning. And I said later on, make it more crazy. And then what the computer does is it does what you tell it. It's bizarre and makes no sense in this situation. But believe it or not, every once in a while you'll have a practical application for it. I'm going to delete the kaleidoscope because it's a little too much for what we're doing here. Two things I do like to have are sharpen, if I can spell sharpen correctly, and also I'm searching for sharpen and stylize, which doesn't exist. If I go up to all, it is there. Sharpen will make it look a little bit more, like if I overdo it, it'll look weird, but if I don't overdo it, I'm a fan of the number 8 in terms of sharpen. And then hard light is another good one, and you'll see what those do in a moment. Again, hard light at 100%, not really good. 40% usually is a little bit better. And see the difference there in the color? Just pops a little bit more. The dark colors are darker. The colors are just, come out a little bit more. And I'm turning sharpen on and off right now. You can see the difference. There's a little bit of haziness without the sharpen on. And especially with footage, which isn't the best to begin with, that's a real good way to make it look a little bit better. But Mr. Bart, you only have the first thing. Well, I can just add it to all by Command-C to copy, and then highlighting everything else. Command-Shift-V or Edit Paste Attributes. If I just go Edit Paste Attributes, and paste, because I have all the effects. Yep. Oh, no, I didn't want to do that, because that would have messed up my Ken Burns stuff. So Command-Shift-V to paste attributes. All right. So this is going to be okay, but if I were to select crop here, it would also overwrite any of the Ken Burns things that I did under the crop. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to hit paste. Kaboom! Ken Burns is like a movement in on a subject. It's the one we did with the lady in the orange shirt, named after the guy who made Civil War. I'm sure some of you have seen. I had background render off. Yours will be on. Mine was off because I have limited space on this hard drive. Let's take a look. Why did I add those lights and stuff? Because with the music I chose to put in here, that matches a bit more. The off chance that I have this on here, which I'm pretty sure I don't, music, because, wow, we can't call it iTunes anymore. Yeah, I was hoping to have the song roll out. That's all I need. E. It's in there. She actually starts rolling out there. I'm gonna, because it's gonna be an abrupt change, so I'm gonna take that fade out off. That motion is perfect. See what I mean? Like, the movement of the rollout and him saying rollout are like perfectly in sync. Obviously, I'm gonna adjust. It all makes sense in the end. And then we got these empty parts, so we go back into this, and I like the part where Crepe Lady's happy. And she looks at the camera. Kind of give it a... So here... What just happened to my rollout thing? Oh. I'm on the wrong... I accidentally somehow got to the wrong project. I went back to Crepe 1. Or from Crepe 1 back to regular Crepe. Q is going to put it in... Oh, because I have it... Okay. Q. And then Calvin asked, what is Ken Burns? Crop. Ken Burns. Because she's looking at us. But we have to also take the attributes. Command C to copy. Command Shift V. Pasting the attributes. Pasted. But that time it didn't do the Ken Burns. Because I took the cropped one and it it pasted the crop attribute onto each of these. So now I have to go back in and do Ken Burns. You can go on as much as you like. why not make it something you can enjoy? Because I'm taking something that, on its own merit, maybe not the most exciting thing, but after I've done the fundamental thing that I needed to do, play around with it. You learn significantly more by doing something that you care about doing than any assignment I could possibly give you. So just keep that in mind. Play around with it, see what you can do, and then, quite frankly, I should put these down here, and I'll do some more adjustments. And I'll just put in a quick title. Custom 3D might be the best, but and that's how you can edit Crepe Lady. Questions, comments, angry rants. Yeah, so the other thing, the last point I'm going to make is this is obviously the project is to match on the movement. You could start, and I have a good friend, she works up at Sunday River. When she does her highlight reels of people skiing, which she has to do daily for the TV network up there, she just finds music that she wants to edit to and kind of goes the opposite way, where she's just making it sync up with the music. So in this particular exercise, you have to go off the movement, but there's not a one set way where you have to do things. So it is wide open. All right. What's that? No, I don't ski. I don't snowboard. I do sled, and I do play The Sims.